Now, they told us in America it would never happen. But look at the fine print of the new 2026 banking regulations. Between ESG scores for businesses and the rise of reputational intelligence for individuals, we're super close to a social credit system. And I'm here to show you a few ways they're trying to implement this for the fourth industrial revolution. Kalico on crypto here. Thanks for tuning in. We're going pretty deep here. All right. I've been talking about CBDCs. I've been talking about social credit scores, and a lot of people just don't see it. So I'm going to give you guys the proof in the pudding as to where we're going in the next decade. With proof, by the way, not opinion, facts. So let's start with number one. We've all taken Uber. We've all taken Lyft. Some of us have delivered food for DoorDash and Uber Eats, etc. Not a big deal, right? In the beginning, it was just people picking up people and dropping them off, picking up food, groceries, dropping it off, and then you'd get a rating. And that rating was passed on to the company, DoorDash, Uber, whoever, Instacart, and then they'd say, okay, this guy's doing well, all right? Based on the reviews, that company would then either give you more money or more jobs, etc. Fast forward till now. What has happened? Quietly, these apps, these companies have allowed the person who's door dashing or driving the Uber rate their customers, rating the people that they're assisting. For example, if you take an Uber and you argue with the Uber driver, or you throw up in the Uber driver's car, or let's say an Instacart person is dropping off groceries and you have a dog that bites the person who's dropping it off, guess what? They're going to rate the customer. It is now a two-way street. And if you, as the consumer, the customer, gets a low enough rating, guess what? You get kicked off the app. Throw up too many times in an Uber, you're not going to be able to take Uber anymore. People are going to skip you when they see you pop up because you have a 1 star as a rider. Ain't that something? If you really think about that, that is a social credit score that you're getting. And let's say Uber decides to take that information and give it to Lyft. Lyft is going to view that customer as high risk, and you may not be able to use Lyft because of the data that Uber passed on. This guy's a 1 star. He fights drivers. He doesn't pay. He cancels rides. He throws up in Ubers. You see where I'm getting at here. Overall, that is a form of social credibility, a social credit score. Since we're moving towards CBDCs and digital identities, it is only fair for the system to give the sheep a taste of the technology, a taste of the idea before they fully enforce it. That way, they're not very surprised. They've already used a form of social credibility. So when they usher in digital identity with a social credit component, they're obviously, the sheep are going to say, well, I have nothing to hide. I have 5 stars on Uber. Unfortunately, the sheep are going to bat an eye to total control of their data and identity. Just saying. The second form of social credit or our social credit system is something that everyone uses every day. Everyone scrolls through every day, and that is social media. If you go online right now and you start posting some dicey posts, maybe some politically driven posts, anti-Semitic posts, or if you do something ridiculous on the internet, guess what happens? The masses on that platform will take your picture, run it through Google, reverse image search, find out who you are, and potentially, based on what you did, try to get you fired, try to get you kicked off the platform, tell your parents, tell your mom, etc., etc. That right there, another form of social credibility, a social credit system. Whatever you did on the internet, everyone agreed this is terrible. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure he can't post here anymore, or now we're going to make sure that this person doesn't work anymore. And we saw a lot of that in 2020 with different people coming out talking about how the virus was fake or don't get the vaccine, or even recently with certain artists out there being anti-Semitic or certain creators being anti-Semitic. What happens? Social credit score. Everyone gathers together and says, this is a bad person. Let's deplatform them. Let's block them from posting, take away their account. Let's get them fired, etc., etc. That right there is another form of social credibility, social credit system. How this ties into what I said before about CBDCs and digital identity, it's the same deal. If you're using a digital currency that is issued by the government on blockchain, and they realize that, hey, this guy's bought a lot of steak this week, his carbon footprint is too high, we're not going to allow him to buy another steak. And when he goes to slide or tap his digital CBDC, they're going to block the purchase because they've already gave him a bad rating for the week because his carbon emissions are too high. Welcome to the fourth industrial revolution. The third example of a social credit score is something that a lot of people don't really know about, honestly, when it comes to corporations, but we did see on the news. All right. And that is the environmental, social, and governance score. That ties to companies. I'm talking Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, any company out there, usually they're public, they get what's called an ESG score. And that ESG score is a rating, as you can see on the screen, that pretty much rates a company on either how open they are or how they do business. Let me give you a better example. We all remember Bud Light. Bud Light came out with a commercial with a trans individual. Their stock plummeted. Their ESG score plummeted because conservatives are the ones that buy the Bud Light beer. So that ESG score affected their company. Okay. That score is pretty much a social credit score, if you really think about it. Companies themselves are entities. They have their own TIN or EIN number, pretty much a social. So they're kind of like a person that never dies unless the company goes out of business. And with an ESG score, if it scores low enough, it affects their stock, it affects consumers buying their products, etc., because people can look that up. And if they see that this company's ESG score is low and they look and see why it's low and it's for something that maybe they believe in, guess what? They're going to boycott that place until they fix what they have going on. And once they fix it, the ESG score will improve and then their stocks will go up. People will buy from the store again, etc., etc. That right there is pretty much the definition of a social credit system that is going to be pushed on to the masses pretty soon, in my opinion, within the next decade. This isn't fear mongering. These are just facts. The sheeple are getting the seeds of a social credit system along with digital identities and CBDCs. They're planting them and people are eating it up. I'll leave you guys with this last one. Vantage Score 4.0 or FICO 10. I'm pretty sure you've seen it on Credit Karma or even Experian, the whole score boost thing. You see, these models that they've set up where they say boost your credit score by letting us track your rent, track your utilities, track your Netflix subscription, your Amazon Prime, etc. That right there, even your phone bill, that right there is just creating a behavioral score rather than just debt or how you pay things. They're taking that data and selling it to who knows who just to see, what do people spend their money on? And if they're able to tie that data to a digital identity with a carbon footprint and other things, programmable money, guess what? We notice you pay for Netflix. You watch Netflix too much. Let's cut that off for this month. This person has Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount, HBO Max. Guess what? We're going to go ahead and cut off all those services. He's been watching too much TV, and that's affecting our carbon footprint. And guess what? With the digital CBDC, they can cut that off and give you a low score because you watch too much TV. Welcome to the fourth industrial revolution, my friends. Blockchain, digital identity, digital money. That's just where we're going, and we can't stop it. Yes, you can live off grid. You can be that guy. I'm gonna get a lot of land and live in the middle of the forest. Yeah, you can do that for a while, but eventually, if you can't self-sustain, you're gonna have to get into the system. When it comes to crypto as a whole, I keep saying buy utility, not the hype, not the pump.fun coins, not the phantom meme coins. Buy utility. That's all I got for you guys for today. Crypto's here to stay no matter what they say. Get those bags.